Hello, I would like to welcome you all. It's a pleasure to be here. This is the 7th annual conference with Bretton Woods, Reinventing Bretton Woods. Actually, the first one outside Cusco. Some of you have been in Cusco already in the previous conference. And I believe after Brexit, actually the title was before Brexit, but after Brexit, talking about macro policy uncertainty in the present world is probably a very appropriate title. I was just looking blue, but I was almost late because the pound is at its lowest point in the last 31 years today, you know? But well, who knows at the end? And who knows how much it will be political and how much it will have economic consequences. But we have a rather agenda that is pretty full and pretty interesting. On the first session, we had the future of money. We're lucky to have former Governor Hugo Frey Jensen of the National Bank of Denmark, and Jose Manuel González Páramo, who is around here. He has been governor of the Central Bank of Europe. He's now a member of the board of the BBVA, one of the two biggest banks in Spain. He's a very good friend. And actually, he has been working in something. He has published a book about about the challenges for banking of fintech and the new technology. And probably, I'm talking with other banks also around the world, the future of banking 10, 15 years from now might be pretty different. No? And probably with regulation affecting banks and not many of the new providers of financial services, with reputation that have to be cared by the banks, but not so much by these new, sometimes platforms. Well, he talks about that in his book, so we're not going to repeat him. But actually, it will be a challenge what we are going to face. And probably the banks are so important for monetary transmission policy that probably will be also a challenge for central banks how to live in the future world. On the second session, we have this debate that is coming forward again. People concerned, is there a chance of a new recession? I'm not in that position, but a lot of people are. There are secular stagnation, saving glad. Here is not one of Kenneth Rogoff of over-indebtedness, but shortage of safe assets. For example, Barry Eichengreen, that was invited here, was supposed to be here, he has a recent paper talking, I am not so good. He explains the decline in the growth of trade because, in part, a lack of safe assets. It's something in any case to be discussed, no? Then in the afternoon, we are going to have two very important sessions. One about the new cycle of capital flows. We're lucky to have 4 speakers here who are going to be pretty interesting. And then the last session will be, of the day, will be China monetary economic transmission to Latin America. What is new? And here we're lucky to have the director of the Western Hemisphere of IMF, Alejandro Warner, a very good friend. Pepe Larraín, who was Minister of Finance of Chile, and he told me he's about to become Minister of Finance again 2 years from now. We have Joaquín Cotani and Mario Blicher is, I can see him, he's around here probably. No? And tomorrow we'll have a session about uncertainties of the global safety financial net. We are going to end this conference with the 6th session about the global financial dilemma and the formulation of global macro policy coordination. I would like to thank Marc Uzan, who is going to talk first. He has always helped us in this conference. He is so well known within the central bankers that we were discussing in the last meeting last week, made to give him a central bank award for being one of the best organizers of conferencing around the world. Thank you very much, Marc. Please.
Welcome here to our 7th annual conference here in Peru. And as you can see with the title, it was all about uncertainties. And the first uncertainties about this conference was about the locations. When we discussed it, we were not sure if we were going to host it as we have done over the last 7 years in Cusco or in Arequipa. The second uncertainty of this conference was about the title. As you might have received at the beginning, the title was about the future of money, and it shifted to the issue of uncertainties of monetary policy to, at the end, macroeconomic policy uncertainties. And this title came up when we met in Shanghai at the G20 finance minister meeting in China. And Jean-Pierre Landau is here with us, presented a very good paper on the issue of uncertainties around the world. 3 sets of uncertainties: geopolitical uncertainties, economic uncertainties of secular stagnations, long-term, the lack of long-term potential growth, low interest rate, low inflations, issue of unemployment, and so on. And that's the last one was really about the policy risk and policy uncertainties. We don't know anymore we have the right macroeconomic framework. We have overburdened, the mandate of central banks, and what was unconventional become now conventional. And in fact, at the recent meeting in Basel of central banks, the Per Jacobson lecture delivered by Jacob Frenkel was all about the concern about central bank independence, and that what we are discussing, Brexit, China, all of that are nothing to do with monetary policies. And at the end, there was really a concern that we have also uncertainties, despite having built a new forum, the G20, to try to become the primary forum for international economic policy coordination. We clearly see that there is no coordination around the world, despite numerous meetings among central banks, but there is the fiscal side. And more, policymakers and central bank community are calling for a type of realignment of policies where you can bring different instruments, the fiscal side, structural reform, and monetary policy. And indeed, at the recent speech in Sintra, I was very struck by what Mario Draghi said, and I wanted to quote him because that might be some hope for the futures for international economic policy. He said that in a globalized world, the global policy mix matters, and it will likely matter as our economies become more integrated. So we have to think not just about whether our domestic monetary policies are appropriate, but whether they are properly aligned across jurisdictions. So Mario Draghi is trying to call for maybe a better coordinations about not only monetary policy but fiscal side, and I believe that we might have reached a peak of having only the central bank being the only players. Then maybe we are going to see much more debate on how we can do more fiscal policy mix with different instruments. And you remember even calling about the Tinbergen rules and trying to adapt that as a global level. So I think what we discussed today, I think will be right clever not only for the state of the world today and the macroeconomics, but what might happen in the next few months. So on that front, again, I would like to thank the Central Bank of Peru, Governor, but also all you staff who made that event possible. There's been this year a little uncertain because we have a lot of last-minute cancellations. I think the Brexit and other events, matters. But I think at the end, we'd like to thank all of you for having, joining us in Peru. I know it's a long way for some of you, but thank you again for your participation, and I look forward for a very lively debate.